Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. Qin Mu handed the Scarlet Fire Spirit pills that were done to him. The dragon Qilin hid them inside the chest, then said weakly, "I'm still hungry. I want to try Fire Element Divine Vitality pills. Maybe they won't be as hard to swallow." Qin Mu took out the herbs he had matched moments before and refined a furnace of Fire Element Divine Vitality pills, and the dragon Qilin tried too. The taste seems to be much better, they aren't as bad. Cult Master, can you refine 2 more furnaces? Eating so much, be careful of getting stuffed to death. Look at how fat you've gotten. Even the chest can't carry you anymore. Qin Mu said with his anger finally bursting forth. The dragon Qilin looked as if he had nothing to live for and said resentfully, "I'm poisoned, and I don't know if I can even taste the flavor of the Scarlet Fire Spirit pills again. It's a pity my mother left early, and Patriarch has also left." Qin Mu couldn't bear to see him like this and refined another 2 furnaces of pills for him. The dragon Qilin no longer muttered after that. Upon sneaking a glance back, Qin Mu saw that the fellow didn't eat many pills. He secretly opened up the chest and stored the excess inside. What has Fatty Dragon experienced during these days I wasn't around? Qin Mu was puzzled. The dragon Qilin lay on the chest quietly. He took out a book and grabbed a brush with his claws, then carefully wrote something. Qin Mu fell back to take a look, but the dragon Qilin hurriedly covered up. Smiling, Qin Mu said, "Fatty Dragon also knows how to work hard. Linger, you should learn more from him." Hu Linger had been hugging her tails and licking their fur clean. When she heard his words, she said seriously, "I've been studying along Grandpa Deaf these days, and he praised me for my knowledge." The black tiger god jumped onto the chest and moved over to look at the writings. The dragon Qilin didn't dare to be arrogant and let him sit between his front claws. The black tiger god took a look and burst out laughing. "This also works." "Of course it does," the dragon Qilin said with a serious expression. "I have basically mastered the path of controlling humans. This technique of mine will definitely shine in the future." The black tiger shook his head. "You spend too much effort on these little things and don't use them on the right path. For example, there's completely no need to eat Scarlet Fire Spirit pills or Fire Element Divine Vitality pills. Cultivating by yourself is more useful than anything." "Has Brother Tiger eaten spirit pills before?" the dragon Qilin asked. The black tiger shook his head again. "My lord said that cultivating by oneself is the true cultivation. No one has given me any spirit pills before." The dragon Qilin took out a Fire Element Divine Vitality pill. "Try this." The black tiger god ate one and said in astonishment, "Such a good taste? So much better than normal food." The dragon Qilin sneered at him. "Scarlet Fire Spirit pills taste even better. Try a Scarlet Fire Spirit pill." The black tiger god ate one, and his body shook. He couldn't help the tears falling from his eyes. "Now you know how good they are, right? Because you didn't learn my technique, that's why your lord is lazy. Your own cultivation is the true cultivation. That's because you're not hardworking and have too few tricks. You're being subdued by him instead of you being the one who is subduing him. Only by learning my human rearing scriptures can you eat well." The black tiger god looked at Qin Mu and said with a smile, "Junior brother, Scarlet Fire Spirit pills indeed have a nice taste. Can you give me a few furnaces?" Qin Mu looked at him in bewilderment. "Senior brother, you're already a demon god, so why do you want to eat? The taste is not too bad, I can eat them as a snack." Qin Mu frowned and asked patiently, "What are the attributes of senior brother's demon vital chi?" "Gold and water." Qin Mu calculated for a moment and wrote down a recipe. "This is for gold water mixed vitality pill. It has gold chi and water chi inside, which can raise your gold and water vital chi. I also used complementing spirit herbs to increase the fragrance and flavor. Senior brother, me making the spirit pills for you is not a solution. You're a god, so you make them yourself. I will teach you how to refine." The Black Tiger God was delighted and said with a smile, begging someone is never better than relying on oneself. If I can learn to refine pills, I indeed won't need to trouble you. Qin Mu taught him how to refine gold water mixed vitality pills and gave him some herbs. The Black Tiger God was incredibly intelligent and managed to learn quickly. He refined the pills pretty well. Not long later, the Black Tiger God came to him to ask for some more medicinal ingredients. Qin Mu gave him them. When the next day arrived, Qin Mu had a feeling that his demon god senior brother had become fatter. He wondered if it was just his misconception. However, when the little black tiger lay next to the dragon Qin, he didn't look fat at all, so it was probably just a trick of the light before. Senior Twigger feels even nicer to touch like this. Hu Linga said to Qin Mu with a serious face. The little fox had gone to touch twice, and she felt that he was quite chubby. Qin Mu was slightly worried that his senior brother won't be able to stop himself and grow fat from eating too many gold water mixed vitality pills. However, the Black Tiger God was his senior brother and had followed Saint Woodcutter much longer. On top of that, he was a famous god, so as a junior brother, Qin Mu wasn't really in a place to say anything. Even if he asked the Black Tiger God to eat fewer mixed vitality pills, he reckoned he wouldn't listen to him. The Black Tiger God listened more to the dragon Qin than him. I should let Saint Woodcutter have the headache. Qin Mu turned around and saw trails of devil chi rushing into the sky. Some of it was in the form of lotuses and some were like clouds. There were also some shaped like peacocks and devil gods. All of these were apparitions formed by the vital chi of the devil experts. To be able to create them, they had to be experts of celestial being realm or even above. Yet the strong devil practitioners didn't rush over to kill them. It was as if they were waiting for something. An expert of divine bridge realm has arrived. Qin Mu focused his gaze and suddenly saw a divine bridge stretching dozens of miles across the sky. A devil god primordial spirit walked through it with the celestial palaces of the devil path above him. This was the apparition of a strong practitioner of divine bridge realm. In eternal peace, those on divine bridge realm were existences of cult master level. Their abilities had been the greatest, but that was in the past. After Qin Mu spread the method to repair the divine bridge and enter the celestial palaces, one could only be considered an expert of the cult master level once they became a god. However, the divine arts practitioners of divine bridge realm were still extremely powerful existences. If they gave chase, only the Black Tiger God could protect the group from harm. In a bit, Qin Mu saw a second divine bridge, followed by a third and a fourth. More and more strong practitioners of divine bridge realm appeared behind them. They had all kinds of primordial spirits, and their locations on the divine bridges were different, representing different levels of cultivation. The primordial spirits looked at them from afar as beams of devil light kept sweeping past them recklessly. Yet even though so many strong practitioners of divine bridge realm had come, they still didn't attack. They are waiting for an even stronger existence to descend. Qin Mu narrowed his eyes and looked away while thinking, the only one stronger than the divine bridge practitioners will be devil gods who had entered the celestial palaces. It's just that there's no way to know if the devil god that's hurrying over has crossed Southern Heavenly Gate or not. He took a look at the Black Tiger God who was lying on the chest with the dragon Qin. Ever since the two had found a common topic, they had become lazy. The Black Tiger God was always lying on the chest and whispering something with the dragon Qin. Qin Mu felt an uneasiness brewing in his heart. Hope the one that comes hasn't crossed Southern Heavenly Gate yet. With a worried expression, Sanghua said in a low voice, Brother Cult Master, if we continue heading forward, we'll soon reach the front lines. There are numerous strong devil practitioners there. Qin Mu's mind shook. He instantly knew what the devils were waiting for. There are numerous strong practitioners in front of us, and with the pursuers chasing behind, they will be able to pincer us, making it hard for us to take care of both our front and back. The devils behind are not waiting for the devil god since they are among them already, waiting for us to fall into the trap. Qin Mu composed himself and came to the side of the chest. The Black Tiger God and the Dragon Qin were muttering something, but when they saw him coming, they immediately shut their mouths. Qin Mu told them about his guess and said solemnly, Senior Brother Tiger, the more we go forward, the closer we get to the front lines, and the more dangerous it gets for us. When we come close enough, there will definitely be a devil god that will lead an army to block our path. Meanwhile, from the back, another devil god will block our retreat. If we are pincered between the two sides, we will be vanquished. The black tiger god stood up like a huge cat and said solemnly, "Great strategy. However, they are looking down on me. I had followed my lord to conquer the north and south and experienced countless battles. I've earned fame by bathing in the blood of my enemies. After my lord turned into a rock, I had also fallen into slumber. Looks like these devil brats have forgotten about my awe. Don't be afraid. When we're 1,000 miles away from the front lines, call me." Qin Mu opened his mouth, but didn't speak. The black tiger god lay down again, then raised his head after a moment. "Do you still have any spirit herbs? The ones you gave me were all refined into pills. Give me some more, I can kill better with a full stomach." Qin Mu took out some spirit herbs from his Daotai sack, just enough for one furnace. He handed them over and said, "Senior brother tiger, don't eat too much, be careful of becoming like Fatty Dragon." The black tiger god laughed, looking rather conceited. "You're underestimating me. I can dissolve these spirit pills just by cultivating and won't have any excess flab. I know my limits. I shall show you how awe-inspiring I am later." "Sister Hua, how far are we from the front lines?" Qin Mu inquired. Sang Hua took out a geographic map and searched around it. She took out a ruler and measured. "This is Cloud Gathering Mountain. We are still 4,000 miles away." Qin Mu looked at the ratio and measured the distance himself. He shook his head and said, 4,261 miles. "Why do you need to be so accurate for?" Sang Hua asked with a smile. Qin Mu shook his head. "It's because the algebra of your Supreme Emperor Heaven is so lousy. Even your sun was forged so crookedly that it's unbearable to look at." Of course, he couldn't say this directly in her face. Ling Yuxiu and Cai Yunxiang called Sang Hua over the moment she was free. The three girls chatted noisily and exchanged pointers on the paths, skills, and divine arts of Supreme Emperor Heaven and Eternal Peace. Ling Yuxiu and Cai Yunxiang sincerely sought knowledge from Sang Hua about the method of cultivating to a young true god, and Sang Hua told them everything she knew without holding back. She also asked them about the spells of Eternal Peace, and the two girls taught her the divine art that was recently created in Eternal Peace, Primordial Spirit Guide. Primordial Spirit Guide needs dual cultivation, so this technique should only be used between husband and wife, Sang Hua said in astonishment. Ling Yuxiu smiled at her. "Nonsense. As long as the primordial spirits are able to resonate, anyone will be able to cultivate. Even numerous monks and Taoists in Eternal Peace have cultivated it." Sang Hua was dumbfounded. After a moment, she asked suspiciously, "Even monks and Taoists have cultivated? You too have also cultivated it?" "I cultivated it with the one who herds cows," Ling Yuxiu said. Sang Hua was slightly disappointed and jealous. She looked at Cai Yunxiang and asked, "What about Sister Xiong?" Cai Yunxiang smiled at her. "I have also cultivated with Cult Master. His primordial spirit is very strong, and you will improve very fast if you dual cultivate your primordial spirit with him." Sang Hua's eyes went wide, and she cried out, "How can you, two of? That's not right. Primordial spirit dual cultivation clearly only allows one Dao partner." As she almost went into a frenzy, Cai Yunxiang said bewitchingly, "Once you dual cultivate with Cult Master, you will understand. His primordial spirit is very strong." Sang Hua blushed and said with a low voice, "The rules our Supreme Emperor Heaven have regarding primordial spirit dual cultivation is different from those of your Eternal Peace. Primordial spirit dual cultivation here is a taboo, only husband and wife can dual cultivate. Even being engaged is not enough." Ling Yuxiu and Cai Yunxiang looked at each other and seemed to know the other's thoughts. "The rules of Supreme Emperor Heaven are too old, but this is not your fault. Every place has its own rules. For example, all of West Earth's women are little vixens. To pave the road, Imperial Preceptor had brought 1,000 demonies and caused quite some trouble." Qin Mu went up high to look far into the distance. He saw incredibly thick devil chi rolling 1,000 miles away from them. It was like a high wall that stretched 10,000 miles. The devil's main camp in the front lines. He observed with 9 heavens' divine eyes and saw all kinds of variegated and gorgeous vision. They were apparitions formed by the experts of celestial being realm, life and death realm, and divine bridge realm in the army of the devils. Sister Hua, give me the geographical map. She took out the map, and Qin Mu used his vital chi as a ruler to measure it precisely. He turned back to look at the pursuers and the devil chi which was becoming thicker and thicker. His gaze flickered. There's still 1,100 miles. Senior Brother Tiger told me to call him at 1,000 miles, but he seems to have become even fatter during this period of time. Qin Mu turned his head around and looked at the black tiger god on the chest. He said solemnly, Senior Brother Tiger, we are 1,000 miles away from the front lines. The little tiger leaped from the chest and laughed. Stay here and look at my methods. Once he said so, he rushed towards the pursuers behind them. Qin Mu looked at the black tiger god and saw him running faster and faster. As he ran, his corporeal body changed, and in not even a breath's time, he went from a little black tiger that was a foot tall to a behemoth that was like a mountain. He was awe-inspiring, although his tummy seemed a little bit too big. When the black tiger god ran, he moved from 4 legs on the ground to only the 2 hind ones exerting force. All kinds of runes spread throughout his body like an armor covering his entire being. 2 huge hammers appeared in his front paws. In a breath's time, the black tiger god had already collided with the pursuers, and the bones of countless strong devil practitioners were broken. Their bodies flipped in the sky and fell down limply. A devil god had indeed hidden himself, and he rushed into the sky at that moment with a battle halberd to face the 2 huge hammers of the black tiger god. The latter was incomparably brave, but the devil god wasn't weak as well. The instant the 2 of them clashed, Qin Mu immediately saw a mountain top floating up after being slashed. Let's go quickly, Qin Mu said rapidly. Advance 100 miles forward. Fatty dragon, come down from the chest. Sanghua didn't understand what he was saying, but she still heeded his words, bringing the chest to hurry forward. The dragon Qilin jumped and followed after them. Behind them, there were numerous devil experts that had not died in the hands of the black tiger god. They immediately left the black tiger god behind to chase after the small group. Meanwhile, in front of the main camp, the battle between the black tiger god and the devil god created ripples that alarmed the devil experts in the vicinity. Immediately, devil chi separated from the mass above the main camp and surged towards Qin Mu. It was most likely a strong practitioner of the devil race rushing to pincer them. Qin Mu sprinted 100 miles with everyone, then shouted, "Halt!" Behind, a world-shaking explosion suddenly rang out as the black tiger god and the devil god flashed past while dueling. With a roar from the tiger, mountains and vegetations were sent flying, and random rocks rushed into the sky. The black tiger god arrived frantically, and his huge hammers smashed the strong practitioners chasing after Qin Mu one after another. Qin Mu saw the situation and immediately said, "Retreat 100 miles." Sanghua, Ling Yuxiu, and the rest didn't understand, but they still sprinted backward according to his words. After the black tiger god killed the pursuers, he leaped over their heads and faced the numerous devil experts that were chasing them. The devil experts were led by a devil god, but their battle formation was disrupted by the black tiger god. The 2 gods started fighting while the rest of the experts took a detour around them and rushed toward Qin Mu and the rest. After Qin Mu brought everyone back 100 miles, he stopped and said solemnly, "We should be safe now." After a moment, the primordial spirits of the strong devil practitioners arrived, and their divine arts rushed over from afar. Everyone's expressions changed slightly, but a huge hammer came flying out of nowhere, smashing the divine arts and the primordial spirits of the strong devil practitioners into smithereens. The black tiger god's body flashed by them, and he grabbed the huge hammer that was flying towards everyone. He shook it forcefully and laughed loudly. "I believe I did not disappoint. Everyone, climb onto my back, and follow me into the enemy's main camp. I'll bring all of you back to Li City." Qin Mu let out a sigh of relief and thought to himself, Brother Tiger has indeed grown fatter these days. His weight has increased, and his speed has decreased by 10%, So I added an extra distance of 100 miles, and looks like I was right to do that. The black tiger laid down on the ground, and Qin Mu hurriedly threw the chest onto his back. He then carried Hu Linga up with him while the three girls and the dragon Chelin followed after. The black tiger god immediately began sprinting and passed the mountains in a flash. His speed was unmatched. Qin Mu lay close to the tiger's back and listened to the tiger god's breathing. It gradually grew faster, and he thought, I was right, senior brother tiger's lifetime of cultivation has been ruined by fatty dragon in one day. He has been brainwashed by fatty dragon. Hope he doesn't grow too fat or else I won't be able to explain myself to sacred teacher. Right, it's still unknown if we can break through the enemy camp and return to Lee City. Right then, a sound akin to that of a huge dam crumbling and water flooding out deafened him. Qin Mu ignored the wind that was blowing in his face and looked forward. He saw sword lights tearing apart the devil chi and ripping a huge hole in the devil's main camp. What followed after were big calabashes floating in midair with divine arts practitioners around them. They executed their divine arts, and lightning poured out from the calabashes, raining down on the devil's main camp. Behind the lightning calabashes were countless sword pellets. Tens of thousands of them were swirling furiously. After the lightning strikes, countless swords rained down on the devil's main camp. Behind the sword pellets, there were waves and waves of flying ships. True origin cannons were installed on them, and with the cannon beams plowing the ground, the main camp was destroyed. It's the army of eternal peace. Qin Mu's spirits rose swiftly. It was eternal peace Imperial Preceptor's sword light that broke the camp. This fellow always secures his gains with the safest method. That devil god who rushed out of the main camp to kill us should have been the commander of the main camp. The moment he left, Imperial Preceptor saw the opening and took advantage of it to break the formation. Only Imperial Preceptor could be so sneaky. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's sword skill had entered the path, and it cultivated his Tao heart. No opening of an enemy could escape his eyes nor his sword lights. It was the same for the formation of the enemies. He had turned his sword path into the path of war, and it was successful in every battle. Qin Mu relaxed. Even though the Black Tiger god was already gasping for breath, he was still able to bring them out of the devil territory. At the front, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor and Duke Wei were opening a path for the flying ships behind them. The numerous soldiers with the lightning calabashes lowered themselves and landed on the flying ships. Meanwhile in the back, there was an army formed by countless strange beasts and divine arts practitioners. The Black Tiger god rushed into the battlefield and shook his body, flinging everyone away. He stood up and grabbed his two huge hammers to spin like a windmill, smashing the enemies around him like a storm. Boom! When the Black Tiger smashed his hammer against the ground, its boundless power swept in all directions. Countless devils were blown into the sky. The Black Tiger god attacked the enemy's battle formations while roaring. You guys go back first. I shall stay and digest the spirit pills, using up the excess fats in my tummy so that my lord would recognize me. After saying that, the demon god destroyed everything around him and went to the front lines to take the lead. He destroyed an enemy formation and opened his mouth wide to blow away a devil god that was rushing over with an intense beam of white light. It extended for 100 miles before gradually fading away. Qin Mu was dumbfounded. He turned to look at the round and fat dragon Chelin that was thrown into the sky. He suddenly felt a pang of sorrow in his heart. Sacred Teacher's mount is still better. Even if he is slightly gluttonous, he still knows to train and maintain his figure. He won't delay his cultivation. The dragon Chelin was also dumbfounded. When he took a glance and saw Qin Mu's sorrowful expression, he sunk into his thoughts. A flying ship flew over from the sky and brushed past their bodies. A young general stood on its bow. With a wave of his hand, golden lotuses came into being. They lifted everyone up and brought them to the ship. Qin Feiyue, little General Qin. Qin Mu greeted in a hurry, full of astonishment. Qin Feiyue wore a suit of armor, but he still bowed slightly to return the greeting. Cult Master Qin, Princess Xiao. This general is wearing armor, so it's inconvenient for me to greet. From behind him, a person rushed out. It was Qin Yu. there was a young dragon coiled around his body. Qin Mu pays his respects to Cult Master Qin, Princess Xiao, and Saintess Xiong, he swiftly greeted. The two brothers had been born in the Qin family of General of Heavenly Strategies, and they were part of Imperial Preceptor's many disciples. They followed him to cultivate for a period of time. They had their success and assumed positions in the army. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor had many disciples, and most of them entered the army and took up high positions. Ling Yuxiu's nature was open-minded, so she had made friends with a lot of heroes which were disciples of Imperial Preceptor. The first time Qin Mu had met Ling Yuxiu, she had entered Great Ruins with Qin Feiyue, planning to draw the terrain to conquer Great Ruins at a later date. The young dragon on Qin Yu's body raised its head in curiosity and examined Qin Mu. It suddenly slithered down and climbed onto him. It rubbed its horns against Qin Mu's face and gently cried out, "Ma-ha!" Qin Yu was stunned. He hurriedly took out his dragon bead and tried to summon his young dragon back, but it was reluctant to leave Qin Mu. Qin Yu's heart was on tenterhooks. I was already no match for him in Imperial College. I got beaten by him several times, and after he became the Heavenly Devil Cult Master, I was even less of match for him. Is my dragon also going to be snatched away by him? Qin Mu plucked the little dragon and examined him over and over again. He then asked in astonishment, could this be the true dragon from Surging River Dragon Palace? Qin Feiyue nodded. Imperial Preceptor called Little Poison King and saved its life. He then gave it to my brother. Qin Mu's heart stirred slightly, and he asked with a smile, Junior brother Qin Yu, can you lend me this little dragon of yours for a few days? Qin Yu hesitated for a moment, and Qin Feiyue said with a smile, Cult Master's position is extraordinary, and he's the Grand Chancellor of Heavenly Saint Academy. How could he lie to you? Qin Yu could only nod then, and Qin Mu said with a smile, Junior brother Qin Yu, I won't borrow it for nothing. I will give you something good. After I return this small dragon to you, you will understand. The young dragon shrunk and climbed onto his earlobe. It hung there like an earring. Qin Mu looked into the distance and saw the army of Supreme Emperor taking the chance when Eternal Peace Army broke through the enemy's formation to rush over, intercepting the reinforcements of the Devil Army. They were like two punches that crashed ruthlessly on the enemy's vital points. Around the group, the flying ships were led by young officers into the fight. Cannon fire plowed through the ranks below, and the divine arts practitioners on the ship executed sword pellets. Their divine arts bombarded the ground. Once the land was cleared, strong workers paved the land while the strange beast army and soldiers massacred any devils that had survived the main assault. The officers on the ships are also Imperial Preceptor's disciples. Ling Yuxiu said after looking around. The disciples of Imperial Preceptor are usually honorary directorates of River Tomb Academy. They frequently give lessons over there, and most of them are experts from the army. Look, there are more familiar people over there. It's senior and junior brothers from Imperial College. Qin Mu looked where she pointed and saw Wei Yong, Chen Wanyun, and the rest, so he immediately waved at them. However, they were focusing on executing their spirit weapons to bombard the ground and didn't see. After a moment, the flying ships dispersed the enemy's formation. The Devil Army was blown into pieces, and with the strange beasts trampling their battles lines, it was a very bitter fight for the Devils. Qin Feiyue ordered the flying ships to stop and end their cannon fire. He wanted for the spirit weapons to continue attacking the enemies that were escaping in all directions while they secured the land. He explained to Qin Mu, the reason why our Eternal Peace Army is the vanguard is because the algebra skills of Supreme Emperor Heaven are too weak. Their formations are loose and normal. Imperial Preceptor felt their impact wasn't enough, so our Eternal Peace Army was sent first to break the Devil's formation. Imperial Preceptor is a great talent. The algebra of Supreme Emperor Heaven is indeed somewhat weaker, Qin Mu said. Sanghua blushed and lowered her head in silence. Even though Supreme Emperor Heaven's algebra is very weak, their divine arts are very strong. They have what our Eternal Peace lacks in the path of cultivation, so we can only rely on battle formations to charge, while the close combat fights will have to rely on the divine arts practitioners of Supreme Emperor Heaven. Qin Feiyue executed his sword pellets and looked down at the devils from above. He sighed ruefully. I thought I was extraordinary in celestial being realm, but after encountering these divine arts practitioners of Supreme Emperor Heaven, my eyes were opened. With my current cultivation, I can't even be ranked here. Imperial Preceptor ordered that in this battle, no one is to leave the ship to fight on their own. This is because on the same realm, our soldiers are no match for the devils. The battle lasted for a long time, until the sun in the sky went out. Only then did both sides beat the gong to recall troops. We have clearly won the war, so why do we have to retreat? Why can't we just take this chance when the enemies are escaping to enter the city? Sanghor asked in bewilderment. Our military strength isn't enough. If we rush into the city, we'll only scatter our soldiers, giving the devils a chance to break us. Imperial Preceptor chose to retreat right after achieving victory because he is using the method of nibbling away at the devils. By continuously doing so, the devils will be weakened until they are all exhausted. In that case, they won't be able to pose any threat. Qin Mu recalled Saint Woodcutter saying that Supreme Emperor Heaven was undefendable, and he couldn't help becoming worried. Saint Woodcutter wouldn't speak nonsense, so since he said it couldn't be defended, it really meant that it was impossible to guard it. The devils would definitely not follow the battle plan Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor hoped they would use. Fu Rilua would definitely have other ideas. In the darkness on the battlefield, numerous will-o'-the-wisps suddenly appeared from another world. They were lanterns on small boats sailing out of Yudu with elders whose faces were blurry. They were there to fetch the heroes that had died. No matter if they were human or devil, as long as they became ghosts, they would be fetched by Yudu. In the meantime, the army retreating below moved silently, ignoring the messengers of death. It seemed that they were used to this sight. Qin Mu stood on the bow of the flying ship, overlooking the battlefield. He couldn't help sighing ruefully inside his heart, but he didn't say anything. At that moment, a small boat sailed over in front of the flying ship. The elder in it stood up and raised the lantern to shine on Qin Mu. Qin Fengqing, you have disturbed Yudu. Earth Count invites you for a visit to talk about the cause and effects of your actions. Astonished internally, Qin Mu said with a smile, who is Qin Fengqing? Elder, you are mistaken. The lantern shone on his face, but the elder behind it didn't say anything. Suddenly, black light flashed and the black tiger god appeared at the bow of the ship, blocking Qin Mu behind himself. Messengers of death only care about the matters of the dead. When have you started to manage the matters of the living as well? The face behind the lantern was blurry. Yudu has its rules. Yudu does not look into the matter in the world of the living unless a person from there disrupts the order of Yudu. Yudu then has to take control of the situation. Qin Fengqing released 48,000 souls from Yudu and broke the rules of Yudu. 15 days ago, we came to inform and invite him to Yudu to talk about it, but he has a treasure which blocks the messengers of death. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor walked over and asked in a solemn voice, what if I don't let you take him? Numerous worlds have been destroyed because of that, the elder said from behind the lantern. Qin Mu couldn't help remembering what he'd seen before, Duqian Devil King wailing in the darkness and shedding sorrowful tears. Imperial Preceptor, Senior Brother Tiger, no need to say more. I'll go with him. This video will end here.